Top Boy Season 3 is only a few weeks away, and with the release of the trailer for the final season, it's one that myself along with many others are eagerly anticipating. As we bid farewell to Summerhouse and the crew, I feel one arm of this final chapter is going to be heavily focused on Dushane, his ending, and the complicated decisions that he's going to be facing. So with that, I thought I'd throw my theories out there along with delving into the details of how his ending could come about, and why it could be so complicated. So let's get into it. Here is will Dushane have a complicated ending in Top Boy Season 3? Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Dushane's complex. Dushane is a character in the show that has the most going on internally, and he doesn't really have any mess that he directly causes. A lot of his external mess comes from Sully, and the way that he behaves. It's been the same way ever since the Summerhouse series, even more so back then, because Sully was more of a loose cannon whilst Dushane was the calm, composed, and logical thinker out of the two. So within this final season of the show, I think we're going to see a different side to Dushane from the off. With the way that the most recent season finished, a lot of things happened which could impact the way that he'll be when it returns to our screens. His mother passed away, he had some issues with his heart which gave him a scare. He wanted to provide stability for Shelly and her daughter Tish, and he was also looking to get out of the game and retire. All things that seemed as though were leading him to drift away from Sully and the previous life that he used to lead. His mother didn't like the type of work that he did, and she wanted him to live a life that abided by the law. And judging by the trailer, when he was in her home and boxing up her belongings, it very much felt as though he was in a somber state where he was numb to what was going on. This makes me think that the death of his mother is something that will still be weighing heavily on his mind, and will be one arm of dictating the conflict that's going on in his head. Her words may be going around in his head, and he may be thinking about his actions more now that she's gone. The only thing is, Dushane knows no different to the life that he's led. However, with him looking at the photo of himself and Sully in the box, and the two stalks behind being symbolic of a good business partnership, I think with it being in a box that was full of memories, it most likely means that he's not been in partnership with Sully for a little while, and he's decided to back off, thus meaning that Sully has taken control and the lead, and is now calling the shots. With his health scare and the fact that he wants to be straight for Shelly and her daughter, that will most likely be a contributing factor to the new life that he could well be leading post his mother's death, and following Sully killing Jamie. This internal conflict is something that I think will be present for the most part of the season, and will lead to a divide between Sully and Dushane. One like we've never seen before. Jamie was Dushane's retirement plan. He wanted out of the game, and bringing Jamie up was his way of doing so. But Sully's somewhat jealousy and fear of Jamie getting too big for his boots caused him to go behind Dushane's back and put an end to it. Something that I think will most definitely cause a rift between them, and will alter the friendship and partnership for good. If you think about it, the only time that we saw Dushane in the Season 3 trailer was on a couple of different occasions. Twice where he was thinking to himself and it looking like his mind was in conflict. Another where he was out on a job with Sully. Another time where Sully said that the both of them were linked. And the final time was Sully and Dushane squaring up against each other in the bathroom, most similar to how we saw them in the previous season in the caf. With the image of them facing off also being the image of the new Season 2, I think it's symbolic of the divide that's going to be present between them, and how they're most likely going to have a difference in opinions and ways of acting. Something which will most likely lead to one of their demise. The scene of them being linked is something that I think will tie into the fact that Dushane may eventually face repercussions due to Sully's careless actions. Dushane's been bailing Sully out of trouble for many years, and I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon, even in this new season. What will happen with Dushane? There are a couple of different outcomes that I think are possible for Dushane, and in reality, I don't think any of them will end well for him. Despite being the logical thinker and methodical leader, I feel his time is drawing to a close in this final season. Let's look at the first option, Dushane's death. Even this option has multiple different arms to it, with the divide between Sully and Dushane most likely being strong in this next installment. There's nothing to say that the two may cross each other and have differences like they've never had before. If Dushane is looking to back off slightly and Sully is gradually gaining more power and taking control, Sully could end up doing something that puts the only two people that Dushane cares about in jeopardy, Shelly and her daughter Tish. This could drive Dushane to a point where he can't forgive Sully for putting them in danger, and if something happened to them, he may take his anger out on him, pulling him back into the darkness that he wanted to be free from, which could ultimately also result in Sully taking action as well. Or what could happen in this situation is that due to the anger, panic and fear that Dushane would have within him, his heart issues may come back to the forefront again and cause him to succumb to the issues that he's been having. Another option that could tie into Dushane's death is the introduction of Barry Keeogan's character Johnny, most likely the leader of an Irish gang that could have moved in on the area, or he could have some business to settle with Dushane and Sully. It would be interesting if they found a way to connect the character to Joe from the first 2 seasons, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. We heard Sully say, "This isn't good," in the trailer as he looked over at Johnny, so this could be a threat to Dushane and another reason as to why he could end up being on the receiving end of a deadly touch from an enemy. Dushane's arrest. The police have constantly been after Dushane, from season 1 of Summer House right up to the most recent season where we saw that the customers were actually undercover officers that were looking to gather evidence on him and the Summer House crew. However, Dushane's managed to avoid it and get off every single time. Even right at the end of season 4 where Ruben was going to snitch on everything in order to get treated better. A more tamer ending would be if Dushane ended up getting arrested for all of the crimes that he's committed over the years. The final shot of having the cell door close on him would be something that would be extremely powerful. The authorities having enough evidence to put him behind bars dating all the way back to season 1, but I would much prefer it if he went out in a more dramatic fashion. I feel Dushane is going to have a complicated ending, and one that isn't going to be smooth or predictable. Hey, maybe he'll even throw Sully under the bus. The complication is something that I feel the character needs in his ending. He's a character that's made a lot of enemies, and also has a lot to lose with any kind of demise. I think Sully's actions will be something that contributes to the character's end, and whilst some of it can be attributed to Sully, it will be Dushane's loyalty to him that will cause the downfall to be present, even if Dushane does back off and look to retire. I can't wait to see what happens in this next season of the show, and how all of the characters along with Dushane will draw to a close. There's no other show like Top Boy that's out there, and with threats around every corner for the characters, bring on September the 7th. So, there you have it. Will Dushane have a complicated ending in Top Boy Season 3? If you want to see more videos such as endings explained, theories and predictions and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. I also broke down the entire Season 3 trailer, so that's over there too. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. How do you think Dushane's character will end? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.